What's up, everybody? This is Ian, and this is the episode 2 of Tales of the Community. Now, before he gets all antsy, again, I'm about to say, I'm Ian. Y'all know Ricardo. Woo! And I'm about to say, we're back with another just episode 2 of Tales of the Community. So this time we're going to be talking about last time. I know that we kind of left it off on a little bit of a cliffhanger, where the issue in the disabled community is that they try to force friend all of us. We didn't really go into it that much, but now we're going to kind of dive right into that. What do you think, Ricky? You ready?
Yep. So kind of the first, so like we mentioned a little bit the last episode, by the way, go check that out.
Which was really awesome, by the way.
Episode 1 of Tales of the Community by your two trulies. But as we spoke a little bit about that towards the end of the episode, that, you know, within like the staff, mostly the teachers, student aides, yeah.
Sometimes parents.
Yes, also parents.
Yes.
They pushed us in particular and other people that we knew within the community at school that were disabled, you know, different types of disabilities, to basically like, hey, go befriend this person because, you know.
Because you told me to.
They're like you, basically, you know, and that didn't always work out. Like for me, for example, freshman year, when people were trying to push me to doing that, including other people with disabilities that were like, oh, come on, join us. Like a cult. The way I kind of felt about it, that I was like, that's not who I am. You know, like I kind of always have felt like if I'm cool with you, it should be because I'm cool with you, regardless of, you know, whatever your race, ethnicity, gender, religion, you know, whatever it is. And when I was kind of being pushed into that box, that I basically to me, the way I interpret it, you can only hang out and communicate and talk and interact with people within your community, people with disabilities. And that always made me feel like it was almost like them telling me, you got to give up your own individuality in order to blend in to this stereotype. And especially with the school, give the school, you know, that good look. Like, look, we have all these children with disabilities.
And we're all holding hands and sitting together.
Singing Kumbaya.
Yeah.
And spoiler, that didn't work out. Freshman year, that did not work out. Now, granted, the group that me and Ian eventually kind of became part of later on in our high school years, that really didn't start structuring itself until like sophomore year. But freshman year, me and you, we were pretty cool, but I wouldn't consider Ian at that point, like, honestly, even a friend. Like, it was more like an acquaintance, I think, that we had together, because we had a mutual friend that was best friends to both of us. But we interacted, like 3 times probably throughout freshman year?
Yeah, because we had the, you know, same class condition. Yeah.
But see, it was different though, because it wasn't like people were pushing us to be friends with each other. That's true. And I, you know, if that would have happened, I would have been like, you know what? I always said it. He's a pretty cool guy. You know, I remember one time I was in class and I was waiting for class to start. That's how I first met Ian. And he came in, I was smiling and tall and everything. I was like, whoa. And he was like, hey, twisting his neck like giraffe. And you should have seen it. It was happening.
I was not doing that. He keeps trying to make me be Jeffrey the damn giraffe from Toys R Us. That's not what happened.
I swear to God, that's what happened. By the way.
You know, I'm about to say, on my end of things, see, it's a little bit of a reverse problem. Because the problem was, you would already have this, you know, either the kids, specifically the kids, since that's the ones we have to play tango with, they're the ones that sometimes will be like, you can't be one of us. So that's already bad as it is. Yeah. And then now you got like the staff and the teachers, their definition of, well, you can't be one of them, but you should and will be one of them. So it's like, I can't have a opt friendship on either side. Like, one is saying you don't fit in. The other one, you're trying to force me into, like, make it fit in. And it's like, but I do have a choice and a say, right? Because, I mean, I love my mom to death. I love my mom to death. Absolutely, 100%. But the funny thing is, she tried to make me and a relative, quote unquote, connect and be friends. And to put some more context to it, we haven't spoken for years. Not that we have issues with one another. It's just he is way older than me, and we're in totally different circuits. But when she got the whole, he has a disability and I have a disability, you guys should just, team up. And I still remember that awkward message that came through, just like, hey. And I'm like, hey, I'm your cousin. I'm like, cool. And I didn't respond after that because I'm like, I just can't do that. Like, if you got to use judgment to pick your friends out, why should that go out the window for those who are disabled? That's just my part of this.
And it kind of pushed us to, like, if you're uncomfortable with your disability, here, let's just throw you out into, the deep end, regardless if you're comfortable yet, accepting your disability. And that didn't work, at least not for me, because I remember, you remember the incident where we were all the ones that were disabilities, all the students in PE, we were all in one gym. Then you had people without disabilities in another gym. Well, for whatever reason, they felt, let's put these two groups together. But the way that they went about it, they had the people without the class without the disability sitting on the bleachers. And they had us walking around.
Oh, God, that was horrible.
Walking around in a line. And I told you, I was like, dude, it felt so humiliating because it felt like almost like they were parading us like a circus.
And see, I need y'all to understand. Here's the thing: they already was doing it was freshman year, and they had some type of, they just had us all in there that was talking to us about, I don't know, insert something. And so they was already talking to us, and then it was, people kind of dismissing out, but then it was still those that was in that gym class, they stayed just on the bleachers, and then our gym teacher just gets this random ass idea, get to walking. And funny enough, he noticed that we were hesitant to do it. Like, I remember looking to our mutual friend, and he's like, I'm not moving. And then I'm like, I ain't doing it either. And then because he kind of forced it, like he forced it, the other aides forced it, like, if you don't do it, insert some type of punishment. We was just right out there in like the middle, kind of just walking around the perimeter of the gym. And it was just so degrading. I gotta be honest, I've never experienced, a humiliation. And that's not good because this was freshman year, dude. You're already trying to get your footing. You're already trying to establish identity. You're already feeling a bit like a nervous wreck as it is because you're going to be in here for 4 years. So it's, you got a long way to go. This was not starting at a good foot.
The problem I had with it, everyone goes at their own pace. We talked about this in the other video about accepting your disability and being comfortable in your own skin. Everyone gets there at their own time. And it might work for someone if you just throw them out into, in the eye of the public and just look, get comfortable, accept that you're disabled. That doesn't work for all of us. And that didn't work for all of us. Because we didn't accept it anytime soon just because they threw us out there. So that was freshman year, kind of putting both sophomore and junior year together. Something that I started noticing was that it was harder now that I was part of a group of, these individuals with disabilities, to make friends outside. Like, it was almost like an insecurity in me that I was like, I can't interact with anybody who doesn't have a disability because they're not going to accept me. They're not going to understand me like my quote unquote group of friends and my quote unquote community over here. And that's a problem that I have, that when you do put people into those boxes, especially, young folks that are discovering themselves first and foremost.
And high school's all about discovery as it is.
And you're putting them into this box, and it's like, but then you put that fear in them basically. Like, you can't leave this box, because if you do leave this box, no one else is going to want to be your friend. Especially like what I told you, when I came to high school, I already had that insecurity. And that really helped that insecurity grow for at least, honestly, the remaining of my high school years, where it was hard for me to make friends, at least in high school, because outside of high school, I had a whole different group of friends. But in high school, it was hard when we were in the same classroom. I remember, being in course, I think it was a sophomore year, no other student with disability in there, or at least the kids that I knew were in there, all strangers, and I stood quiet. I stood quiet because I was like, they're not going to understand me. They're not going to accept me. Hell, hardly the other group did. What about all these kids that, when you have that insecurity, you do see it as they're up here, and because I have a disability, I'm down here.
And just to kind of go in on something here too, one of the other issues that on my end of this, it was the fact that when they would kind of see certain people that at least just kind of maybe on the surface end look like, okay, they, obviously they have the disability, but it doesn't seem to be to the point where they aren't interacting and stuff like that. The issue was there was there was a responsibility put on me. Like the way I told you was, one of our teacher aides, she came into our lunch period with me and then two friends of mine, and she plopped another student that was a disabled, in the community in a lunchroom. And her intent was this. She said that said student needed to learn how to kind of socialize outside of, the resource room for one, but just among fellow peers and stuff like that. And so, she just kind of plucked this student onto us as if it's my job to kind of make someone social. Like Ricky was saying, everybody's at a different pace. And, the issue that happened was we were like, I don't know how we're that wasn't a part of our job. That wasn't a part of our schedule. And then of course she used the threat of, well, if she can't be in your lunchroom, then you guys got to get split up and stuff like that. And so we had her in there. But then the problem was she showcased the reason why she was not being active with her peers. It had little, if not nothing, to do with her disability, and it had everything to do with how she acted, with how she presented herself. And the issue there would be when one person in the community acts a kind of way, unfortunately, some people tend to put a label that everybody in that community acts that way. And so then the rest of the year, especially this high school, you got to try to convince the other people that, yes, there's people in there that act and behave this way, but I'm not, or he doesn't, or she doesn't, because these are individual choices. But it's easy to loop everybody in the same basket because of the whole community, thing. So
the final point, one problem that I had senior year that I started seeing, not just within myself, but other people too.
We started getting looped in other people's messes.
Well, that's a whole different story, my friend. But one thing that I started noticing that a lot of the same staff, the same teachers that were freshman year initially telling you, be friends with this group of friends, then they were the ones complaining and criticizing and judging and questioning, why are you only friends with these people that are like you with disability? Yeah. Why aren't you getting out of your comfort zone to make other friends and expecting you to do that? And to me, it's contradictory because it's like, but you put us in that circumstance. You put us in that situation. And me and Ian, we are different. We are different. I've always believed that the two of us and Jesus, we are independent thinkers. We think for our own damn selves. We don't just follow the crowd. But within our community and within our class, there were a lot of those who followed. And even till this day, 10, 11 years later, I'm still seeing a lot of those problems. Now that they're grown adults, that they're having issues to get out of that comfort zone, get out of that box that we were forced into. But a lot of them already came to high school with the mindset because of, parents and most likely middle school too.
Experience, yeah.
With the same mindset, and it was just repeated in high school. And that's a big problem that I had. You guys were the ones who put us in that situation, but now you're complaining that we're not getting out of that box. And I'm glad that we did. But how are you being a hypocrite and yelling at other people that didn't.
And you know what's funny is, about to say, a mutual friend of ours, that, you know, he was, I gotta be honest, he was way a bit more active out there than the both of us put together. And the funny thing about him was when he started making friends outside of the community, and particularly one in particular, I can't name drop them, they got mad. They got upset. Like, yeah, you guys are too close. They kind of do everything they could to break that up. But it's like, I'm with Ricky. Isn't this what you wanted? Because we're not always just going to be in the resource room, and we're not always going to be in the same classes, but because they're human, they're still going to want interaction, and you're getting upset that they're actually interacting with the outside, but it's not the outside with them, as if it just got confusing. And so we broke out. And honestly, the last thing, if I got the last thing to say, I only hope if there's people in the community that kind of still struggles with, like, I can only be friends with those who can relate or this, and that. Number one, you can only be friends with people that connect to you. Yep. And that goes beyond what it is that you can and cannot do. Like, make your own choices. Like, I appreciate your teachers, your parents, all this and that, but you don't got a say in family, but you do have a damn say in your friends.
I also want to add, you do not have to give up your individuality just to fit what these teachers or other people want you to fit.
Or their expectations either.
Go out there, make friends, be friends with whoever you want to, make friends with, and be yourself. Because it's not going to end up well. Trust me. I'm going to tell you this right now. Those same people with disabilities are going to be the same people who will betray you, lie to you, hurt you, stab you in the back, throw you, whatever the hell, use you. Because we're all humans. So whether you're disabled or not, we're going to get rejected. Whether we're disabled or not, we're going to be accepted. So go out there, make some friends, grab some grass, tuck some grass.
Don't listen to that last part.
What?
You don't grab Grant. You know what you said.
If they're okay with you grabbing their ass. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this content. This is episode 2 of Tales of the Community. I'm Richie here with Ian and Jesus as the cameraman. So, love to all my disabled folks and to all my disabled folks. See you through my eyes.
Hashtag grab some ass. What's good?